This is One Sentence News, a daily podcast featuring 3 news stories with a sentence-long summary and 1 sentence of context apiece. I'm Colin Wright. This is a sponsored message. I've been using Anchor as my podcast host for a while now, and it's been a pleasure to use. Anchor offers benefits that most other hosts do not. It's free to use, but it also has a collection of tools that allow you to create a podcast completely within the Anchor website or smartphone app. They distribute your show to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other distribution channels without any additional effort on your part, and you can make money from your podcast without any minimum audience size. So you can use it as a more traditional podcast host like I do, but it's also got everything you need to start a podcast from scratch. If you're keen to give it a shot, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's Monday, October 31st, 2022. Let's talk about the news. From the New York Times, Garland formally bars Justice Department from seizing reporters' records. The U.S. Justice Department has announced the formalization of a previously informal policy to not use warrants, court orders, or subpoenas to acquire communication records, notes, or testimony from reporters in the pursuit of information about their potential sources in the course of a federal investigation. This was already understood to be a no-no, but recent revelations that former Attorney General under then-President Trump, William Barr, surreptitiously sought the email records of reporters working for the New York Times, the Washington Post, and CNN made the solidification of this policy seem prudent if the government wanted to maintain and secure the U.S.'s vaunted free press. From The Verge, Argo AI, a driverless startup backed by Ford and Volkswagen, is shutting down. An autonomous driving startup called Argo AI, which was founded by folks who had previously worked at Google and Uber's self-driving projects, and which was backed by Ford and Volkswagen, has lost those automakers' financial support and will be closing down. The company was reportedly becoming a financial burden on these car companies, registering nearly $1 billion in net losses in the third quarter of 2022 alone. Argo missed a deadline to bring a robotaxi product to market in 2021, and while the tech they were working on will be absorbed by Ford and VW, Ford reportedly plans to focus on advanced driver assist technologies rather than full self-driving vehicles for the foreseeable future, and Volkswagen will be reorienting its budget around its own, slightly less ambitious, self-driving subsidiary, Cariad. And from Krebs on Security, battle with bots prompts mass purge of Amazon and Apple employee accounts on LinkedIn. Earlier in October, a huge number of LinkedIn accounts that seemingly belonged to former or current Amazon and Apple employees disappeared all at once, reportedly the consequence of a bot account purge by LinkedIn that in some cases wiped out about half of all such accounts. Some of the details of this story are still unconfirmed by LinkedIn, but it would seem that a flood of fake accounts listing big, well-known tech companies as their employers, those phony accounts then used for various sorts of malicious activity, including spam, the proliferation of scams, and phishing attempts, finally reached a tipping point. Alongside the more standard online scams, this wave of fake accounts reportedly included a whole lot of hackers working for the North Korean government who have been attempting to get jobs at cryptocurrency firms, which would then give them a means of hacking those firms later. If you're finding some value in One Sentence News, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and/or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com, and you can support this and other related projects, like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts at understandery.com.